right. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Trish, and thank you for joining us in an exclusive co-joint webinar with Igloovision and ESCO called The Future of Education, Immersive Classrooms. So we are so excited to have you to join us in the journey to discover and understand more about immersive technologies in the education sector. So in today's event, we have two panelists from ESCO Singapore and from Igloovision. So we have Darren Rod. He is a global account manager from ESCO Singapore. With his 7 years of experience in the AV industry, Darren has spearheaded several key projects in the line of consulting and designing, collaboration solutions for audiovisual, video conferencing, room booking, digital signage, and UC solutions. He drives to develop and maintain relationships with key clients. So we also have Theo, Head of Educational Business of EMA and North America from Igloovision. So since joining in 2018, Theo has spearheaded the education arm for Igloo's business, which has now seen over 50 installations in school, colleges, and universities worldwide. So with a background in teaching, Theo has a strong understanding of what educators are looking for in this type of innovative technology. So notable installations include an immersive cave for the University of West England, a mixed reality suite for the Agritech Centre of Excellence in Ireland, so a crisis research facility for Mid Sweden University, and a retrofitted immersive workspace for the University of Tromso. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about how the webinar structure is. So firstly, we have an introduction about ESCO and Igloo. So we'll explain more about the partnership and what Igloo and ESCO is doing. And then after that, we have case studies. It will be from Igloovision. So they're going to tell us more about the different case studies in the education sector. And then lastly, we have the question and answer, whereby you can ask any questions that you have on mind. So a little bit of housekeeping rules. So before we get started, so chatbot queries will actually be answered live after the presentation. So note that this webinar will be recorded. So if you have any question during the presentation, so please type them into the message box in your Zoom control panel. So either Darren or me will actually bring them up during the presentation or at the end of if you have time. So sit back and enjoy as you take a journey with us to discover immersive classroom. So without further ado, I'll pass my time now to Darren Rod, Global Program Manager from ESCO Singapore, to actually give us a quick welcoming introduction. So over to you, Darren.
Thank you, Trish. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session together with ESCO and Igloovision. My name, as Trish mentioned, is Darren Rod. I'm one of the account managers based out of Singapore, and I focus on key markets, which include the educational sector. I'm very excited to introduce you to the team at Igloovision and have them show you some of their exciting immersive solutions, specifically focused on the educational sectors. Before I hand you over to Theo, please allow me a few minutes just to tell you a little bit more about ESCO and what we do. ESCO is a service integrator, and we're based out of Singapore. We have over 30 years industry experience, and we're proud to be the APAC wing of our global partner network, the GPA. The ESCO group consists of 13 offices across Asia Pacific, and our goal and mission is to help empower our customers using technology and collaboration solutions. We focus on designing and implementing solutions across the following key verticals: video conferencing, audiovisual, digital signage, unified comms such as Teams and Zoom, as well as workspace management or occupancy space solutions for the workplace. We also have a separate division within ESCO focusing on hostile mitigation threats and security solutions as well. On top of all these services, we also offer a consultation service whereby we can help you build and design as well as implement your desired solutions. So do reach out to us if you require assistance with any of the above mentioned solutions. We're very excited, as I mentioned, to be partnering with Igloovision, a company who, in our eyes and globally, I think is really pushing the boundaries with creating some exciting immersive experiences for well over a decade now. Currently, Igloo is working with several of our global GPA partners, and we just had to get on board as well. Igloovision designs, develops, and deliver immersive domes, cylinders, and workspaces, making it easy for customers to engage with immersive content, offering state-of-the-art AV systems and solutions. The immersive space, as we all know, is a hot trending topic right now. So we're thrilled to be part of this exciting new space. The system and solutions have already received great reviews globally, and we're excited to see what's next, and more importantly, excited to show you the solutions and talk you through some of the recent Igloo case studies with the help of Theo. So ladies and gentlemen, as Trish mentioned, please post your questions in the chat window, and we'll address them between myself and Theo a little bit later as we go ahead in the presentation. So with that, let us start by showing you a quick video regarding our recent partnership with ESCO and Igloovision, and then we'll pass you over to Theo to tell you more. Not getting sound on the video, Trish.
We create immersive spaces that anyone can use. For the last 10 years, we have been providing immersive workspaces for hundreds of clients globally. Our technology allows anyone to take digital content in any format and share it in a space like this. Our partnership program, which we're launching globally, will now allow integrators to offer immersive workspaces to their clients. We're really excited to have ESCO on board as an expert partner in Southeast Asia. Their network of offices will allow our customers to benefit from their expertise in installing integrated technology solutions. And already, I can think of 3 or 4 examples of big opportunities that we're working on together. I see great things to come over the next few months and years in Southeast Asia with the ESCO Igloo partnership.
We are very excited to announce our partnership with Igloovision. Looking at the way that the workspace is evolving today, we see immersive technology as the pinnacle of what is available in the market. And we look forward to bringing this new technology to our clients soon.
Hello, my name is...
Okay, and I guess that's a good time for me to join in. How's the sound? Can you all hear me okay?
Loud and clear on my side, Theo.
Thanks, Darren. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for the introductions. And my name's Theo. I'm calling you from London as Head of Educational Business Development at Igloovision. I'm a former teacher by background and Head of IT in a couple of London schools. I'd too like to add how excited we are about this partnership with ESCO. Today's presentation is going to take the place of a webinar of a short introduction to the background of Igloovision, our products, our ethos, a bit of a deep dive into some case studies from 3 particular installations, which will be accompanied by some video and some Q&A at the end. But before I jump in, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about where I am. I'm actually calling you today from our immersive workspace in our London offices. And this is just one example of the types of environments that we build. And I'm speaking to you live through our video conferencing integration with Zoom, as you're all on too. So yeah, I've got my presentation up on the wall behind you today. It's how we're going to present now. Next slide, please. So Igloovision at a glance, we are a UK-based but global technology company, and we've been building shared immersive environments since 2017. Oh, sorry, 2007. We have 85 employees worldwide and 8 demo centers from Melbourne to USA, Canada, Europe, and the Middle East. And we're really excited about our new partner with ESCO based in Singapore. And we have worked previously in the region. We have installations at Ascendas Capital Land, a presentational space, the National Museum of Singapore, which is an exhibition, and the National University of Singapore, where we've installed a system in their library as part of their digital lab. Now, our offering in terms of immersive workspaces is all to do with re-envisioning the traditional classroom learning environment. Now, you're probably aware already that there is a growing body of research and evidence about the benefits of immersive learning. They range from retention and improved retention, improved student engagement and learner engagement, and just an overall enhanced learning experience. Now, walking inside an Igloo room like this, an Igloo classroom, it's a bit like walking inside a VR headset, but without the restraints of having to wear headsets and glasses. And we allow users to engage with immersive content in a more traditional way, It's less solitary, less isolated, there's less hardware to manage. And because you can come in a group and a room together with your peers, your colleagues, your students, it's perfect for collaboration. And importantly, it keeps learning social, which is a really key element to the learning process. It allows facilitators to read the room and allows students to bounce ideas off each other without having to be engrossed in their isolated technologies. So we have a broad range of suites and solutions of different shapes and sizes, and igloos have been deployed to fill atriums and libraries, innovation hubs and lecture rooms, seminar rooms and meeting rooms. But regardless of the shape and size, the glue, what glues it all together is the immersive media player, because they're all powered by our media player range. It's a powerful media server that's optimized for immersive media on multiple displays. And in the instance I'm in today, that's 4 4K projectors creating this immersive image and this immersive room. And we build it in mind that if you can use a PC, then you can use an Igloo. So we're demystifying some of that immersive technology. And we build features for day-to-day users like Igloo Home, the ability to click on a tile on the screen to trigger your immersive experience, as well as more technical users with a kind of more complex backend, if that's the features you require. The immersive media player, as I described, it powers an immersive display, so different numbers of HD or 4K outputs for an immersive display. Immersive audio, so surround sound up to ambisonics. It's easy to use and widely configurable, and it's a layer-based system, so you can bring up different layers of content for quick switching, almost dynamic like a Windows PC. Next slide, please. Oh, can we go back one? Is that all right? Thanks. So looking first at some retrofit immersive rooms, here's where we'd transform an existing learning or teaching space. And like your teaching spaces, the immersive classrooms and immersive rooms we're delivering to date have been almost any size or shape, maxing out at about 10 meters by 10 meters. We're typically working with flat walls and sometimes with windows, as you might have seen behind me at the start of the session. But we can work with curved walls and more interesting shapes. I think we've recently delivered a hexagonal installation to the University of South Australia. And within that space, we'll mount projectors and speakers to the ceiling to kind of create the immersive environment. We'll offer consultancy on the furniture, supporting you with things like lecture capture in the environment, integrating VC hardware, advanced audio solutions and routing, and allowing for things like remote engagement across sites with integrations with video conferencing software within the spaces. And you'll see an example of a retrofit immersive space from the University of Tromso case study at the end of the webinar. Next, we have immersive cylinders. So these are standalone structures that Igloo builds and delivers. You'll see 2 examples of these at the end from Michigan State University and Adelaide University. Probably our most popular product to date, because we've been delivering these back since 2014. They create a seamless image across the display, so no hard corners. And they're really effective spaces to bring groups of students from 15 to 30. And we've actually gone one further with this product in recent years, delivering a fully immersive cylinder to Sunderland College, which has full 360 walls and floor projection for that full immersion. Moving on, we're going to have a quick look at less an immersive classroom, but another immersive product that's key to our range nonetheless, and it's a cave, typically smaller than one of our cylinders or classroom setups, and excellent for first-person viewing, for high fidelity, high integrity data visualization. We've installed these in Australia and in the UK, and they're really good for first-person viewing, where the perspective of the screen will change in relation to where the user stands. Really a popular tool in, say, engineering faculties. Where Igloo is different to a typical cave is we bolt on the features for collaboration, visualization that we're going to talk about in this session, no longer making the cave a kind of one-use product or a single-use machine. We then make it flexible, easy to use, and we remove that barrier to entry with the technology by making it accessible with a PC-like architecture, so you don't need IT experts or programmers to use it. And lastly, and very quickly, we'll talk about our immersive domes. We primarily use these products for pop-up events and kind of exhibitions, but we don't install so many of these today. Because they're all weather, they can go indoors or outdoors. And one of the reasons we're delivering fewer of these is you grow in size, you actually need to grow in height too. So it's quite difficult to fit a 12-meter dome that needs to be 6 meters high in your average kind of learning space. That said, great levels of immersion and really powerful for things like open days. And lastly, on our products, I guess we would accept that it's not a one-size-fits-all environment with immersive rooms. We do have a broad range of configurations. And from left to right, we can look at a 5-meter cylinder in an innovation hub, an open-fronted cylinder as a sports science simulator, and a system with floor projection at the Agritech Centre of Excellence for visualizing agricultural data. And now very quickly, a 90-second video looking into how these systems are used in a range of educational settings.
Igloo immersive spaces are being installed in universities all around the world. Our easy-to-use software makes it possible to engage with any digital content and simulate many different environments, such as medical, educational, and engineering. And thanks to our compatibility with all the leading video conferencing platforms, it's possible to deliver classes remotely with group collaboration and live polls. Our immersive spaces are all run from our easy-to-use interface called Igloo Home. It's like surrounding yourself with a supersized smartphone where all of your chosen apps, videos, and websites are available at the tap of a button. Anyone can operate it using Igloo Touch, our free smartphone app, which can also be used like a games controller when exploring 3D environments such as Unity and Unreal. We want to make it easy for you to use the tools you already use. That's why we've integrated a whole host of industry standard software into our immersive spaces. And using our 360 web browser, Igloo Web, many web-based applications simply work out of the box. These are just some of the reasons why universities and other educational institutions worldwide are choosing Igloo immersive spaces. For more information on Igloo for Education, please visit igloovision.com.
Thank you very much. So yeah, moving on and diving a little deeper into what was covered in that 90-second intro. You would have heard that we can work with different times and any type of digital content. So what can you do with Igloo software? Well, explaining this diagram left to right, on the left, you have the types of digital media that we can ingest. In the middle, the Igloo software that ingests it. And on the right, showing how it can output to different types of display. And what's really important about this is that it shows that you don't have to build content for each display. We can scale and fit the content to that, so the appropriate display that we deliver. So the same media will display pretty much in the same way, and we can manipulate it to make it look perspective correct and give you that seamless immersive image in a square room, in a cylinder room, in a dome-shaped room, in a room with floor projection. It's a software-enabled solution that's highly flexible and easy to use. Now, a quick summary of those types of content. You might be familiar with immersive media already, but if not, we can ingest things like 360-degree images and videos, as well as traditional images and videos. We have integrations with real-time game engines like Unity and Unreal, so these are really good for simulation, as well as industry-standard simulation tools like XVR for medical training. We have integrations with BIM and CAD software packages, so you can bring Revit and SketchUp models into these systems in true 3D. Integrations with video conferencing software, so I'm actually delivering this session on a Zoom call today in my immersive room, and the ability to do collaboration tools like screen sharing, etc. too. Now, as I mentioned, it is a layer-based system, so within a few clicks in this room, and maybe if we have some time, we can, as part of the Q&A, we can show you at the end. I could start with an image of a chemical plant, and we could talk together about the features of the space and learn about kind of pathways through it. I could click a button and open up a PowerPoint presentation or a checklist to talk about health and safety and safety operating in the space. And then with another click, we could then enable a simulated environment where we could run through some processes in the environment together, fly through the scene and take some actions, etc. And those sessions can be recorded, uploaded into your kind of like assessment systems as well. So moving away a little bit from content, we'll just quickly look on the 4 key ways that our clients in universities use their systems, but this is true probably also for our industry clients as well. First of all, simulation. So you make simulations to immerse teams in different scenarios. It's important for training and education and for familiarization. It's applicable when there are high costs to a simulation or high risk or hazard to running it. And the image there shows the University of Brighton and putting athletes into race type scenarios. On the right of your screen, visualization. So taking 3D data and putting groups of people in it. You can see there an interior design application on the screen. And our university clients are using things like GIS data and Google Earth to interrogate landscapes. And we've recently installed a system with Wolverhampton University, Faculty of Built Environment, who are exploring internal spaces using our integration with software called Matterport. Next, we're going to focus a little bit more on collaboration. So it really is key for our offering for Immersive Classroom, as it goes beyond the benefits of just straightforward immersion. We've got this huge canvas to work with that you can really put any media onto. Things like screen sharing, being able to bring web browsers and websites into the space, using your collaboration tools like Miro, the MS Suite, or the Google Suite, video conferencing. It starts opening the door for cross-site collaboration. We're even recently working on a first where we're installing at 3 colleges in a local region in the UK, where due to teacher shortage and undersubscribed courses, they're going to be sharing the load and streaming sessions from their kind of networked Igloo systems. So it's starting to lead into remote teaching and presentations. And lastly, experiences, important for open days and recruitment. It makes a strong impression of your intent to digital technology, and they're very visually impressive, our immersive classrooms. And so, yeah, as you can see, Igloo has installed systems in over 40 colleges and universities worldwide. A few logos for you to go through. It's actually, since completing this graphic, it's now over 40 universities alone. We've added National University of Singapore, the University of Bristol, and University of Newcastle in Australia to the list. And this number is growing every month. We have years of experience with these installations. Our first installation at a university was in 2014, and it's still in use. Our software is designed with a focus to make this medium more accessible, and we as a company with our partners ESCO are experienced consultants. Now, as you've probably seen, the range of user cases is huge, but we're going to start with 3 selected examples now. First, the University of Adelaide. So the University of Adelaide is a top university in Australia. This system was installed in 2019 at the Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences. And I'm just going to very quickly explain those 2 images on the screen. At the top, you have some clinical skills working with a mannequin, whilst there's some solutions being delivered over VC. So you can see the person in the middle with their back to the screen speaking to a camera, so that session is being recorded. You can see the participants of the session on the wall behind them. And at the bottom, you can see their integration with live polls. I forget what software that is actually, but the idea here is that students, as well as people on site, can engage in the session and take cues, give feedback. Now, when the University of Adelaide came to us looking for immersive technologies, their requirements were, quite straightforward. These are quite typical things that we hear, but they started by saying to us that, the solution had to be world-class in terms of their learning facilities. They already have world-class learning facilities on site, and their immersive solution has to replicate that and fit in with the aesthetics of their sites. And they wanted to simulate clinical scenarios. They wanted fast iterations of those simulations to be able to switch seamlessly between hospital wards, care home settings, roadside incidents by flicking between the layers in the content. And it had to be able to integrate with more advanced tools like mannequins and have actors be able to give cues for the scenes. In terms of integration, they also wanted to build kind of narrative-led and branched learning scenarios. So it's quite important for them to be able to build kind of virtual tours and training scenarios into their immersive content. Now, what we delivered for them was a custom 7.5 meter cylinder. It was a standalone product with ultra short throw projection, so there's very little shadowing on the screen, and an integrated video conferencing solution with in-room mic and lapel pickup, a number of motorized PTZ cameras that could drop down from the ceiling, and a way of live switching between those so you could provide presentations over Zoom. There's a fantastic case study of video which we're about to look into to tell you a little bit more about that. But before we do, we're just going to talk about a couple of the user cases that they've implemented past their initial requirements. So first of all, they've used it as an interactive webinar space, and that's shown in the images. During the first lockdown, they started using immersive simulation in headsets, but they wanted to bring groups into where using headsets was difficult. So they would start, they'd introduce the learning in the whole room, they'd introduce the clinical skills, they'd run through scenarios together, and then students would do their independent learning in headsets or on PCs and laptops separately. They've done a lot of content creation using their own 360 cameras. I talked earlier about maybe generating your own content. They were invested in an Insta-Titan, but there are others on the market. And the other user case that they found really interesting with the technology was to do with building putting their students in the shoes of others, seeing the whole picture in a complex clinical scenario, and putting people in the shoes of somebody suffering from dementia or autism or the like. And now a quick video on that case study.
Igloo immersive spaces are being installed in universities all over the world, and they're used in an incredibly wide variety of innovative applications. For the University of Adelaide, we created an immersive room in its Faculty of Health and Medicine. It had started out with VR headsets, but wanted a way to immerse whole classes. So we worked with the university to build a custom immersive cylinder. It's used to immerse whole classes in simulated and far-off hospital wards. Teaching staff can also deliver lectures to remote students, thanks to Igloo's compatibility with video conferencing tools like Zoom. And every experience can be shared with groups of students instead of isolating them in headsets. The university has found that students have been more engaged with lessons, as well as giving them experiences of real-life medical scenarios. To find out more about Igloo shared immersive spaces, visit igloovision.com.
And so, yeah, kind of summarizing on that video and the introduction to that case study. And while I leave those testimonials on screen, we're going to talk very briefly about the impact. As referred to in the video there, the students have reported high levels of engagement with the learning, and particularly in terms of the remote sessions that were run during the COVID lockdown. They felt that the integrated VC added a new level to the experience, and they got new perspectives. It was far more engaging than sitting the other side of a Zoom call. And within the space, when students did explore it post-lockdown, they found it provided them with unique perspectives of the world that they were going to be entering and the professions they were going to be entering. And for the university, it benefited them because it lowered the cost of having to run and build these complex simulation environments time after time. Instead, once digitized, they can then run through them quickly, and they'll get value out of those systems and those content for years to come. Moving on now to Michigan State University. This is a 6-meter cylinder installation at Michigan in the US. It was installed in 2018. And the reason we want to talk to you about this installation, it was our first interdisciplinary installation, so not focused for a particular learning need. In the photos, you can see the outside of the cylinder. It's installed in their library. And inside, you can see one of our real-time integrations and something from game design course. That's a real-time 360 immersive game that could be viewed in a headset that's being played out in an Igloo classroom. So when Michigan State University came to Igloovision, they'd already been looking into immersive technologies and solutions for about 2 years, and they were looking for the right product. They were very interested in virtual reality and the benefits of VR, but they wanted to make it more accessible. And part of their funding was about making it more accessible to a broader range of students. As we went into the library, it was also quite important that it was easy to use. And that's why something more traditional like a cave, as you may know about, that was too complex and required specialist users was not the appropriate solution for them. An Igloo seemed like the right choice. And they wanted to promote innovation and unleash the imagination of their faculty and students, with a particular focus on enhancing digital humanities teaching at the university. Now, in terms of the user cases, well, first of all, maybe what? So you can see there it's a 6.5 meter cylinder with a capacity of 15 people. It also uses UST projection. And in this system, we also installed a custom gaming PC for outputting kind of widescreen gaming solutions to the screen, adding a bit more versatility. And in terms of the user cases, and we'll touch on these in the video, we're going to very quickly introduce one from English, history, interior design, and game design. Some English students were looking at graphic novels, and they were asked as part of their coursework to experience immersive technology and provide an immersive presentation on the graphic novels they were studying. Now, what was really interesting about this was the English students might not have been as familiar with immersive technologies, 360 cameras and game engines, but they were still able to engage through the space by some formats that we'd provided them for using Google Slides in a 360-degree way. And there's really positive feedback about how these students were able to create interesting animations in typical Google suites that were delivered in an immersive environment. From history, we had students exploring Google Earth and Street View, learning about the architecture across Europe. And from an interior design perspective, we had students bringing in their 3D models, discussing design choices and making better iterations based on the feedback from their peers. And it's very different viewing data in 3D environment than rather on a kind of 2D screen when you can really get inside it. And lastly, this space has also been used as a kind of immersive environment for film screenings, and one notable screening being a commemoration event and a documentary about the 25th anniversary of the Rwandan genocide. So lots of very broad uses of this immersive classroom at Michigan State University. And now to a quick video.
When we started planning the Digital Scholarship Lab, we knew that we wanted to bring people from around campus into this space. And one of the things that helps with that is something of a showpiece technology, something that people don't have access to already, and they don't know that they want yet.
This is a shared experience. People are able to communicate together and kind of come together, whereas VR goggles, you're cut off from the world. This is something that you can share.
And it's, a pleasing place to be. It's an inspiring place to be. The Digital Scholarship Lab is really the place on campus where we in the digital humanities congregate and do our work.
Space planning, designing, construction, we didn't know that they were going to need this space, but they knew as soon as they found out that they were going to use it, because those students have a variety of different types of modeling and rendering, and they really want to build a digital environment that makes you feel like you're in a physical environment.
And so one aspect of the event in the 360 Lab enabled groups of about 10 people to analyze classroom spaces for an occupant's ability to respond in an active shooter incident. Because we have this 360 space available, we can actually analyze multiple spaces in a very short period of time.
Eagle Web is fantastic because it opens up the entire web to the immersive environment. Anything that's out there that is 360 or even at least panoramic, I can pull it in. That's the cool thing. There's no end to what you can do with the system. It's just a matter of what if, and then what if becomes reality.
It works with a number of file types and software packages that are already the bread and butter of these different fields.
So we're excited that more universities are adopting this because those are potential partners down the line where we can create content, share content, and really tackle some of these complicated big problems that are otherwise very hard to visualize and very hard to understand.
Hundreds of students each year are creating content for the 360. There's no barrier in terms of creation. The ideas are what matters, and the immersive communication of those ideas is what we're really trying to bring forward in those courses.
Well, some fantastic testimonial of that video, and we'll kind of put two on the screen for you to read through. But kind of touching on the phrase used at the end, it's the ideas that matter. In terms of the impact at Michigan State University, they felt that it really helped them with their approach to innovation, because they found faculty were using the space in creative and ingenious ways. They didn't quite have the vision for how the system would be used, but it's now in daily use after 3 years. It's really helped them with collaboration by doing their work with VR in new ways. Now, lots of faculties are using VR, but this then allows them to come together in one space and make it a bit more visible on campus rather than being tucked away in the corner of VR, smaller VR labs. And last of all, for them, it was about a journey of discovery. And what was really interesting for their faculty and the staff, again, was learning to use the technologies of tomorrow. And they really feel at the cutting edge of immersive technologies at Michigan State University. And the last case study we're going to look at today is the University of Tromso. Now, this is an immersive workspace. This isn't like the cylinder we showed you at Michigan State University or Adelaide. It was installed in January 2021, and it's a large-scale immersive classroom, as you can see. It's 7 meters by 10 meters across. Now, explaining the two photos you can see on the screen there, you can see one photo with projection on the walls only, and one photo with projection on the floor too. It's switchable and configurable by the click of a button. So if you just want to use the room as a presentation space, you can deliver your presentations from the walls. If you wanted to give that full level of immersion and include the floor too, you also can. It's a one-button switch. Now, in terms of the requirements, when University of Tromso came to us looking for immersive learning spaces, the first thing they said was they wanted a fuller level of immersion than they had seen in our case studies. So Igloo responded to that with the possibilities of including floor projection. They wanted stereo 3D and a large capacity, and that's part of the reason why we didn't go down a cylinder route with the university. They already had this great space, and we just had to help them find a way to use it. They wanted to output a wide range of VR content for group dissemination and integrate the VR tools they already used. One particular one was something called Visual Components Experience, which allows for the visualization and simulation of factory floors. So you can design factories of the future, and you can then control the machinery in virtual reality. And they also needed support with converting the space. Sadly, I don't have any before and after photos, but before there was radiators, whiteboards on the walls, there was kind of insulating audio materials, there was a little loose bits in the ceiling of years of use. So we dealt with some consultancy to make it appropriate for an immersive environment. What we ended up installing for them was this immersive workspace with the stereo 3D and floor projection. It's 12 projectors, all synchronized. And if you do put 3D glasses on, you will get the images coming out at you, so you feel like you are in the scene. And one of the particular pieces of interesting software development we did for this project was to learn how to map spherical VR and immersive content onto flat walls where you transition into 3 corners, so the 2 walls in the corner and the floor, how you make all those pixels align with all of the kind of content we support, the 360 video and kind of games engines and visualization tools, etc. Now, in terms of the user cases and these 3 photos you have on the screen, the top right and the bottom right were to do with an application and a healthcare user case. So this was a commercial project actually that they delivered with their university partners in the south of Norway. where students were live streamed a surgical, some surgery from a theatre. And also they live streamed some body cams and first person views from separate cameras. So you can see one camera there on the display, and actually behind the video feeds, there's a second camera. So students could feel like they were in the session, and they could also see the views and perspectives of the surgeons. This was all done with consent, obviously. And then the image on the left shows actually a research project that they're looking into, their immersive classroom, where they're going to be marrying the use of virtual reality, so this VR scene, and augmented reality. And they're using the Unity engine, Igloovision's Unity plugins, and working with the developer kits from HoloLens to have AR glasses ultimately control objects in the VR environment. So feasibly looking at how effective you might be able to control robotics using AR glasses in a simulated way without having to buy into those robotics. And then, lastly, we finish on the testimonials from the University of Tromso. And rather than going straight into the impact of the installation, because it was completed only this year, I'm going to talk a little bit about the progression of the immersive environments that we've been delivering. So Michigan State was in 2018, University of Adelaide was towards the end of 2019, and the University of Tromso at the start of 2021. And we've moved from like a standard product, looking at kind of typical immersive media, video and game engine, BIM data, etc., to at University of Adelaide, bringing in things like live interaction, and things like video conferencing, starting to facilitate remote teaching. And in the Tromso installation, we're now looking at things like live streaming of 360 data, integrations with VR and AR as well. And we find that these are trends being kind of mirrored in our systems of what's happening in the VR space in general. You may be aware there's a focus on the socialization of the technology and integration of collaboration elements. And Igloo maintains and continues to be at the forefront of this kind of VR and immersive media. And we feel like tomorrow's immersive classrooms are only going to have more interactive content, and Igloo's immersive classrooms and systems are the platform to do this in because of our broad range of integrations and our commitment to being an open system that can ingest this full range of media. We envisage more integrated social tools. There are a wealth of them already, but speak to us about the ones you're using and let's see if they're going to work for you. We see them being multi-user spaces that are networked between sites, and this is a user case which we're developing for the first time in the UK this year, and combined workflows across different immersive and mixed reality medias, AR and VR. Finally, going to finish with the findings of a recent case study that we're about to publish from Med Learning Group. And after 2 years of using the technology, they provided us with the research and feedback over kind of 200 surveyed participants who'd used Med Learning's immersive environment provided by Igloo. They found that 93% of learners who were questioned said that this showed a commitment to practice change in terms of how they learn and engage with media. And that was to do with how, and really just shows how much they valued their investment in the immersive technologies that Igloo provides. So yeah, finally kind of wrapping up, that's the kind of trend we continue to see. The data is starting to kind of speak for itself, and the feedback we're having from our users is extremely positive. Thank you very much for listening and joining us today. And yeah, we look forward to kind of answering some of your questions and maybe looking at some of the technology firsthand. Over to you, Darren. Do you want to lead with this?
Yeah, thank you so much, Theo. And again, I know it's very early for you in the London office, so appreciate your energy, appreciate you going through some of the details, some of the case studies. I think it's fair to say for everyone on the call that, you know, it's very informative, very interesting to hear about some of the different use case studies. I think that's really what the key is here, the different use case studies. So there were some great questions which were raised. So thank you everybody for the questions that you raised. I'm so glad that we've actually got some time at the end of this webinar. Normally webinars finish with 5 minutes to go and you're frantically trying to get through Q&A. So we do have a bit of time, so please do stick around. I'll start maybe, if you don't mind, Theo, just a couple of general questions, and then there were some really great sort of more in-depth questions, which I'll field to after that. So maybe if I can just start by asking this first question which came through, is this technology being used outside of educational settings?
Yeah, good question. So short answer is yes. At Igloo, about 30 to 40% of our work is in education, which shows you that the majority isn't. So we've done 40 installations in educational settings, but you can then kind of extrapolate how many we're doing in industry and with enterprise. And yeah, I guess what makes us successful in education is our integration with the tools that industry is using. And most of the development work that we do is kind of client-led. So it would be an engineering firm saying, we want to bring our BIM data into our immersive environment. And that leads us to integrate a tool like Revit or Navisworks or SketchUp. There's a broad range of user cases on our website that kind of from different industries, but maybe just touching on a couple of them. We do a lot of work kind of in the energy sector with simulation. We do a lot in medical sector too, and enterprise meeting spaces kind of for presentations, kind of C-suites and briefing rooms, sales suites for kind of the real estate industries as well. So yeah, a very broad range. We do also kind of finally do a lot in kind of the built environment and construction trade, because what's really interesting there is the amount of 3D data and 3D assets that there are made. And if you're already working in 3D design and presenting 3D data and actual buildings and products, then an environment like this is the perfect way to present them.
Awesome, thanks, Theo. Another question, can I use my existing video content in an Igloo?
Would that be 360 video or just like 16:9 normal video?
So I think it was more just in terms of maybe normal 16:9 video and maybe just different platforms such. I know you mentioned, you know, you've joined the session via Zoom, for example. Are we open to other platforms as well?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with your first question there on video. So yes, we can show kind of normal 16:9 video. So we can enable it through our software as a layer on the screen. Now, I'm just going to very quickly show you, just changing my control interface just 1 moment. So just as a kind of example of how we do this. And so you can maybe you'll see how I'm running this session today. Oh. I'm actually going to bring my presentation for the session onto the back wall so you can see it. So this is our software called Igloo Capture, which basically allows you to capture a whole range of different media types. So presentations, the video conferencing tools like Zoom and Teams, etc. And then we can position it anywhere on the display. You can see in the corner there that we've got 2 projectors, but we're still treating it as a single image. So, you know, it's again widely configurable, and you can bring in up to, I think it's 12 channels of different media. So 16:9 videos, video conferencing calls, screen sharing, etc. They can all be tiled and preset and saved, enabled and disabled in the room at a click of a button. And yeah, video conferencing, we have kind of a native integration for Zoom and Teams, but we have worked with other platforms too, like WebEx, Cisco, etc.
Amazing, amazing. And thanks for showing up that quick live demo as well. So that kind of takes me to, I think, a very important question for a lot of people is, how hard is it to drive the system, and do you need sort of very specialized training in order to learn how to use an Igloo system?
Yeah, thank you. So we do provide training with this use of the system. So we'll typically do a day or 2 on site to kind of go through the full suite. But using it day to day, it's really straightforward. And a system, what you see on the screen at the minute, wouldn't necessarily require any training. So this is the interface we've built called Igloo Home. The idea is it's a little bit like the kind of icons on your smartphone. And you just click on a tile and it triggers the immersive content. So if you were installing an immersive classroom, you might have home pages or different home pages for different faculties. You might have a home page that you use for your open days or for just like general engagement. But ultimately then you just choose a control device. For me, it's my mouse now, but it could be a tablet, it could be a VR wand or a pointer. We could do touch screen, and you just click on the icon and it triggers the immersive media. And you then click home again and you go back to the home page. So yeah, I'll put the next image up on the scene, and that can just play out in the background while we go on to the next question.
Very James Bond-esque, I must say.
Thanks.
Next question I've got for you is, what is the warranty on the system engine? And I imagine by system engine, this particular person is referring to the IMP.
Yeah, so we provide different levels of warranty. It really comes down to your user requirements. So yeah, we have a kind of standard warranty, an enhanced and a custom warranty that we can offer. The standard warranty on the IMP is 1 year, but we can extend that to 3 or 5. And we have kind of good global supply chains with our IMPs. We do build them in-house, but we can certainly look at kind of like backup stock if needs be. So yeah, different warranties for different client requirements. But what I would add on that is they are kind of stable and very stable systems. We don't experience a lot of faults with them, because for us as a growing technology company, it's really important that our products are kind of enduring and long lasting, and that our clients can have kind of uninterrupted use with them.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is another great question. I'll probably field maybe 2 or 3 more, so we got a bit of time at the end, and I'll pass it back to Trish. I think this is very relevant, especially because of the times and working in this hybrid type model. Is that I saw there was a nice question here about what is the experience like for remote students?
Yeah, good question. So it's quite hard to visualize this, as I'm sure you'll be aware, but in some ways it's a little bit like the experience for you on the call today. So I don't know, I'm probably not spotlighted at the minute, but if I were spotlighted, you're going to have the view from a camera. Now, I think when we want to do remote, have kind of use the space for remote teaching and remote lecture, a lot of what we're doing is using a number of cameras and doing kind of real-time vision mixing with screen sharing from a presentation, as well as the feeds from different cameras in a space. So it could be that I can speak to the camera on one feed. I could have a visualizer on my table here if I wanted to show you something like a document or an object. And that what we're then doing is really just riding off the back of the tools that you usually have built into video conferencing platforms. But what's really beneficial for the students is that they kind of have the broad range of context. In a way, you've got a bit of a green screen for a presenter to present from for any of your learning needs and requirements. And for a teacher, you've got this great resource, and for a facilitator, you've got this great resource that you can use to kind of enhance your delivery. So if I want to talk to you now about kind of like the 7 wonders of the world, I could be jumping on Google Earth and Street View and just showing you them one by one, click by click as I present. I'm actually in the space, and if you have my camera spotlighted on the call, you'd be there with me, and you can follow me as I talk you through that learning experience. So yeah, I guess, sorry, in summary, maybe not say as immersive as being in the room, but the feedback that we had from the University of Adelaide and Deakin University and MedLearning, the clients of ours who have used this system for remote teaching, has been that the student feedback was that it was a mark above, a significant mark above the kind of standard Zoom call engagement that they experienced.
Excellent. Thanks, Theo, for that. So I'll just ask one more question, and then I'll hand back to Trish to kind of wrap things up for us. So this was a lovely question from Susan. In addition to the R&D involved in the modification, getting the room ready from a hardware and software perspective, is there a global research program wrapped around the teaching and learning benefits of the different platforms?
Yeah, that's a good question. And
not mine, Susan. Fantastic question.
That's a good question, Susan. And yeah, you put me on the spot slightly there. So there are networks that are looking into this. If you were to look at the ILRN network, you'll find some information about the research of the global communities looking into immersive technologies. And Igloo solutions have been emerging into the kind of conversations and research done in these networks. But maybe I'd add, from an Igloo perspective, we're very interested in seeing how our clients want to engage with this technology. And from the case studies that we've shown you today, there are actually detailed and in-depth case studies on our website that drive much deeper into the experience, the impact of the technology, and signposts to specific bits of research that have been conducted with the solutions. So yeah, I'd maybe start with something like ILRN, and if you want to look at specifically how igloos are being used for research purposes, the benefits of them, those case studies, particularly the University of Adelaide and Michigan State University and Med Learning Group on our website, would be a really good kind of next port of call.
Excellent, thanks so much. So I just want to apologize. I know there's a couple of great questions also posted, one by Nick, one by, I think it's Stuk May, if I pronounce it correctly. Thanks for the questions. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to handle them right now, but if I can ask you to please just send an email to sales@esco.com.sg, then I'll be happy to follow it up with you afterwards. So again, from my side, thank you so much, Theo. Appreciate your time. I know, again, it's early in the morning, but it was really fantastic. I'm sure everybody really enjoyed that. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Trish to see us out.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, give me a moment. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in the webinar. So if you guys have any inquiries or anything that you want to ask about the immersive classroom, you can actually email us in at sales@esco.sg. Yeah. So once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you really gain a lot of experience and also more knowledge about it. So yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Darren. Have a nice day.
Thanks.
All the best.
Take care, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Darren. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.